Good morning. Hey, this is part 3 of examining this letter, why we don't have to do the 10 Commandments anymore. Newsletter sent out by a local church. In part 2, I covered the next two questions that the writer poses. Okay, so in this video, I'll take a look at the last two questions he poses. To understand some of what I'm talking about, it's in the last video, that root cause on why our society is a dumpster fire. Okay, so if you take a look at that root cause, no longer do people understand, okay, the knowledge of God. Okay, part of this knowledge of God from my knowledge of God video is that people do not understand the difference between the Holy Covenant of Promise, Ephesians 2:12, and the Mosaic, what people will say, the Mosaic Covenant. Okay, they don't understand the difference. In that last video, I showed you where there was two covenants. There was, I'd say in the Moses' time there was two. Later, I'd say in the time of Yeshua, when he showed up, there was 3 laws in place. Okay, we've got the law of God, the 10 Commandments. We're going to have the laws that were added after transgressions. Okay, then we go to later on the rabbinical laws. What they would call the takanot, okay? Those rabbinical traditions, the washing of hands and all the other things that they heap on the Sabbath, and just I'll just call it nonsense. Okay, so what we've got is the final two questions. How long was the law to last till the Messiah comes? That's Jeremiah 31, and he's using Galatians 3, 16 and 19. And we talked about Galatians, that same part of Galatians yesterday. And what part of the law was nailed to the cross? He says all of it. Look at that. He says all the law was nailed to the cross. And that Colossians 2:14. The Bible does not speak of judicial, moral, and ceremonial parts of the law. Okay, so that's a little where their doctrine separates them from some of the other churches. Some of the other churches put the ceremonial parts of the law. They'll call it the judicial, or this is the moral law, and then they kind of break up the law in that way. That's not how the Bible breaks it up. The Bible breaks it up as added no more, the 10 Commandments, what went in the mercy seat, what was written on the law of stone, and then what was written by hand. Okay, what was written by hand. Okay, as part as the rabbinical stuff, that you don't need the blood of the Messiah to remove nonsense. Okay, that's not what the blood of the Messiah came to do. Okay, he just calls out that nonsense. Okay, all you have to do is rebuke that. Okay, but what he came to do was nail the I'll just call it a sacrificial law, because that's what that's how God explained it to Jeremiah in Jeremiah 7, verse 20-ish, that I read yesterday. Okay, so let's take a look at this Jeremiah 31. Jeremiah 31 is part of the New Covenant. The New Covenant will be a whole new video that I'll do, maybe because it comes up again a little farther in this letter. So maybe tomorrow I'll hit the New Covenant. All right, so let's take a look at Jeremiah 31. Behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Oh, there we go. not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers. In that day I took them by the hand and bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. And although I was a husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be a covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. After those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man and his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord. For they shall know from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Not according to the covenant I made with their fathers. Okay? That's verse 32. Not according. Remember in Deuteronomy 5? Let's check that out again. Let's refresh our memory on that Deuteronomy 5. Okay, this says, not according to the covenant I made with their fathers. Okay? In the day I took them by the hand out of Egypt. All right, here's the differentiation here. The Lord made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us. Even to us are here alive this day. And then he goes and does the 10 Commandments. Okay, it's a little bit confusing, but there's a differentiation between which covenants he's talking about. Okay, so he's not talking about the one he made with the children, okay, in Horeb, because the parents weren't going to make it, okay? One thing you got to understand is that when Moses interceded with Jehovah on behalf of the people, he knew that they deserved what they got, what they were going to get. But he said, for your name's sake, do not kill them all. For your name's sake, bring them into the land like you promised. Okay? And then Jehovah repented from killing everybody. He turned from killing everybody, and Moses' plea worked out. Okay? It's you know, we don't deserve any. I mean, we deserve what we get. This is justice is his. Justice is his. He is a just God. And all this stuff is totally there for us to figure out. Okay, so not with our fathers, not according to law our fathers. Let's go back to that time. After those days. Okay, so after those days, that means he was talking about something right before he got to verse 31. Okay, what he was talking about was bringing his people back out of the wilderness. Okay, there's this thing called the second Exodus, which isn't really taught in the churches. And the second Exodus is a whole different set of videos. But you have to go back just prior to verse 31. It's talking about the tribulation. Okay, after those days is when this is going to be going down. Okay, so and that I'll cover that in a new covenant video. Now let's go to Galatians 3:16, 3:19. Now to Abraham and his seed, which were the promises made, he saith not to the seeds of many, but to have one, and thy seed, which is the Messiah. And this day I say that the covenant that was confirmed before God in the Messiah, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect. For if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more of promise. God gave it to Abraham by promise. Therefore, then serveth the law? It was added because of transgressions, till the seed should come whom the promise was made. And it was ordained in the angels in the hands of the mediator. There you go. Paul is placing a differentiation between the promises to Abraham. Okay, if you think the law of Moses started on Exodus 19, you're going to be lost in the weeds. Lost in the weeds, okay? It is of the promise, okay? That is Ephesians 2:12, covenant of promise that you're no longer a stranger to, okay? And how long does it last? Well, I read you yesterday that it's forever and everlasting in Psalms 105, verse 8. Okay? And it's, if you just look at everlasting, okay, all the way from Genesis, all the way. And he says everlasting, everlasting and forever. You can do a word search on that and you'll see it all over the place. Okay, so now, okay, so that is that Genesis. And then yesterday I went into the video on, or not Genesis, but Galatians. Yesterday I went into the Galatians where in Galatians 4, it says two covenants, an allegory, and all that. Okay, so you got to differentiate. Okay, there's a big separation here that they are not making, and that is the root cause. Okay, so now, what part was nailed to the cross? What part was nailed to the cross? Okay, and we are going to go look at, I'm gonna show you. All right, we are in Colossians 2. I'm gonna come down here to verse 14. Okay, blotting out of the handwriting of ordinance that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took us out of the way, nailing it to the cross. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross. All right, we're going to come right over here to Deuteronomy 29. These are the words of the covenant of which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which they made in Horeb. Beside the one in Horeb. Okay, so it is two separate. Okay, now let's keep on going. Deuteronomy 31, verse 24. And it came to pass when Moses made an end of writing the words in the book of the law until they were finished, Moses commanded the Levites which bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, saying, take this book of law and put it in the side of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be for a witness against thee. Okay. These are the handwritten ordinances that get placed beside the ark. Okay, beside. The word in Greek that they use their ordinances is dogma. Dogma is man's ordinances, not God's. It's man's. Most of all the references to dogma go to ordinances put out by Caesar. So these are the handwritten. They get placed beside the ark, not in the ark. In the ark is the Ten Commandments, handwritten by God. Placed besides the ark is, let's say, the book of the law until they were finished. Until they were finished. What did Yeshua say on the cross when he gave up the ghost? It is finished. Until they were finished. Okay? That's why it is the root cause of this error, is not understanding the difference between these laws. It is huge. I love you guys. Thank you.